Greetings, everyone. Joseph Varghese here. I'm beyond excited. I get to interview one of my close friends, mentor I've known for about 15 years now. Her name is Lisa Lieberman-Wang. Lisa is somebody I've come to respect over the years. We were in a number of communities together. She's also a senior leader in the Tony Robbins community ecosystem. She's gone out to create her own platform, impact thousands of people over the years, including some of my closest friends. So I'm excited to be able to engage her, connect with her on this 30-minute podcast. If you want to access this podcast, go to rulesforsuccess.com, access this podcast, a replay, as well as a mind map summary of what this is all about, including the distinctions and lessons that Lisa has to share as well. Lisa, how are you doing today?
I am extraordinary. I'm super excited to be here, Joseph. Anytime I spend with you is wonderful.
Lisa is one of the most innovative people I've ever met in terms of where she was years ago to where she is now, who she's impacted, how she's embracing AI. She really helps coaches to level up. She's helped me level up my business success circles, the ventures that I'm involved with, as well as several colleagues to just level up. And it's amazing to see her innovate as quickly as she is. And sometimes she'll engage her clients and learn from them too as well. She's always learning. She's invested millions and millions on her trajectory, learning herself. She's married to an amazing man, Lieberman-Wang, and together they're a power couple. Um, Lisa, for our podcast, love to hear your journey. Of course, I know you really well, right? I know you really well. And sometimes I forget that when we have a new stage. She's spoken about my stages before in the past. Um, and I want our audience to get to know you as well, also your journey, the challenges, kind of the whole meat of your journey that's brought you here. So please share, like what I know you're from New York originally. You've made some course corrections over the years, pivots over the years. Please share with the audience a bit about your journey.
I'd love to. So, I always think about it as the Leave It to Beaver stories, and that will date me right there, Joseph, on how old I am, if you even know what Leave It to Beaver is. But the idea is, I grew up in a traditional middle class family where people said disparaging words to each other. Everything wasn't perfect, and I didn't have a silver spoon. But yet today, most people look at me and think that everything must have been handed to her. She had it easy. And the only difference between me and someone else was honestly my belief system. It was all about the fact that I knew that I was destined for more, that I was going to do great things, that I had the ability, and I can have anything I want. The challenge is didn't always get it when I wanted it, but I do believe in a higher power I choose to call God. And I always said that, if it's meant to be, it'll be, and I can make anything work. So I say I grew up in a traditional middle class family. My dad wanted perfect children, and I didn't know there was no such thing as perfect. And I was doing my best to be perfect in every way, that it literally stifled me in many ways because I felt like I was never enough. No matter how great I was, it was never enough. And at the same time, it propelled me to keep trying more and more and more. And I'm sure that my need to keep growing and learning is because of him, where I know that that's a gift. I'm actually excited about that I don't stay stagnant. I always think there's more to do, more to learn. What else can I do? And I was sharing with you earlier, is just when I think I'm ready to slow down, I'm ramping up again because there's
Exactly.
something else to learn or do or serve a greater
Yes.
community. And I really believe that everything happens for a reason. And that's been a big piece for me because in life, I didn't have great stuff happen to me growing up. I had a lot of challenges. And at the time, I didn't understand the reasons for it. And I actually kept like asking God, like, why me? Why me? Why me? And later on learned that it was him this is the story I tell myself. It was him preparing me for what I can do today to help others.
And okay, got it. So I'm aware of some of the challenges that journey. Grew up in New York, um, to where you are now, happy married, living in Florida. I also know a few years ago you had COVID, and that was almost deathly, and you and your husband had broke through it, right? Came out healthier,
Yeah.
stronger. But tell us about that journey too as well. Also, so what happened early on as you're living in New York? You mentioned your dad and some of the lessons with that also, and how you reframe that. And I know also you're a master in NLP, and you also
Yes.
teach, neuro-associated processing,
Programming.
programming as well. Also, it's
Yeah.
part of what you do, what you and your team do as well. Also, but tell us about that, and maybe also share with people how the power is reframe, because reframing for me is one of the gifts that I've been given, learning NLP, learning these techniques. And sometimes it's taught in sales training too as well, which of course you go back, mastering that, going back to your days in technology, working in MCI. But please share a bit more about that journey, the challenges to your ability to reframe and where you are now. It's a little deeper.
Absolutely. So growing up, I think one of the things were when I said my dad wanted perfect kids, and I haven't even told this story for quite some time. My dad's way of getting us to do things was actually to most people counterintuitive, but it worked for him, and he didn't know any different. So he ended up having nicknames for us, which were not nice. My nickname was AH, which was asshole. And I would have so much preferred princess, but I didn't get that till I got married. And one of the things about it though was that just like I said, disparaging words, like it's not favorable and everything else. So growing up never thinking I was enough was one thing. And what ended up happening is I found a lot of times I had to hold things back or lie to my dad if something wasn't right or perfect because I didn't want to get in trouble. And the idea of getting in trouble just wasn't a cool thing in our home. So yeah, like I said, it needed to be perfect. And I remember that my grandma was my ally. I would call her all the time. She was my little angel and the wind beneath my wings in every manner you could even imagine. My mom was an entrepreneur and she owned multiple businesses. So from the age of 9, she wasn't home. I was a latchkey child. And we had gone from Queens to Long Island. And then my brother and I let ourselves in, took care of things. I became the cook, chef, bottle washer, laundry, everything. And and dad wanted not just perfect kids, a perfect home and all the other stuff. And as I got older, the responsibilities just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I literally was managing a house, like literally by the time I'm 13, we're even going to shop, we're doing food shopping and all the other stuff. But I
Were
mean,
you the
literally,
older? Were you the older, let's
no,
just say?
I'm the
Yeah,
baby. My
baby.
brother's 2.5 years older than me. And we were doing it. And mom was, calling to make sure we're okay every day, but she was 20 miles away. And I used to say she's a phony mom because she was on the phone, phony mom. So I'd see her on Sundays and evenings, but she left when we're getting up and she came home after, dinner and late at night. So it wasn't what a traditional home looked like. It wasn't Leave It to Beaver. And I watched TV and I wanted to have that home that everybody else had, and I didn't have it. And again, the very things, reframing the very things that you could have looked at as, oh, we're cooking and cleaning and taking care of a house. And we had 5 floors and 13 rooms. And my brother just had to take care of the rooms with carpet, which was 2. That means I had to take care of 11. I'm like, I don't understand. This doesn't feel fair. Didn't matter. It was what it was. And because of that, though, when I ended up moving out, I didn't have there was nothing to learn. I have lived it. I've done it all. And I'm so competent and capable that it was a blessing where I saw my friends move out of their homes. They didn't know how to boil water or cook or prepare meals or do half the stuff that was effortless to me and my brother, because we had done it for so long. And what ended up happening is I was 16 years old. I went on a date, and I went on a date with a boy who was the son of a restaurant owner my parents frequented, but he was older than me. And fast forward, my mother knew about the date. My dad didn't. And I was told I wasn't allowed to let anybody in the house. I let him in the house, my mistake. And it didn't turn out good. And it turned out that, I told my mom, and she says to me, don't tell your dad, he'll kill you. And what it told me is it wasn't that the boy did something wrong, it was that I did something wrong. And I did do something wrong, but still no means no. And that was not heard. So it turned out to be awful. And that incident turned into 13 years of dis-ease for me, which was an eating disorder because I I no longer could speak. I couldn't express my feelings. I couldn't say what was happening. And I used to stuff my feelings and I became bulimic. So I ended up having at 18, 2 years later, I had a sudden heart attack and was put in the hospital. And then, oh wow, I haven't told it for a long time. My father, they're wheeling me in. I was getting on the back of his motorcycle. I fell off in the driveway, rushes me to the hospital. And when they're wheeling me in, and all of a sudden my dad says, I love you. And I'm sure he said it before, but I never heard it before. And I had this thing in my head that said, if you're sick, they're nice to you.
Wow. Yeah.
So I created a meaning around being sick, and I stayed sick for 13 years.
Got it. So you connected your dad's love for you while having a heart attack early in life, right near 18,
Yeah.
19, you had that.
18 years old, and then they didn't know what to do with me. What happened is I had lost 30 pounds in 30 days. I was binging and purging. I wasn't trying to throw up. I was on Tagamet acid reflux, like kind of an ulcer, and I couldn't keep the food down. And they turned around and said, oh, she's not doing it on purpose, and whatever the case is, but they didn't know how to help me. So they put me in a psychiatric ward at 18, scariest thing you could do to a kid. And because there are people that are really sick in there. And it turned out that, it's like literally I tried to sign myself out. They wouldn't let me there's all these rules and stuff. It was interesting. But this became an ongoing thing. And when I say, like, everybody thought perfect life, I got out, did okay. I ended up moving out of my parents' home within a couple of years. And it turned out that every other year, I ended up in the hospital for 13 years, 6 times. And it was almost like I didn't know how to stop. I had to keep going, but I was such an achiever, having to be perfect. I built a computer consulting company at 23. Adelphi University was a client of mine, a major client, making high six figures just from them alone. I had 7 employees working for me, and I would just go, 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 and then I'd burn out. And the only way I knew how to stop was getting sick. I didn't say, oh, I need to go on vacation. I got sick, and if I'm sick, I can take off. That was okay to take off because you're sick.
Yes.
And this became this cycle that I worked through for the longest time, until I was introduced to Tony Robbins, which is where you and I met.
Yes.
And it was my chiropractor who said to me, who had dealt with similar eating disorders and stuff in her very past, and said, I can help you. She started working with me. And then Tony Robbins comes into town. I don't know who he is. And she says, and she's working on me one day, and she says, Tony's in town. He's doing a fire walk. You should go. And I said, I should go. I said, why does he help bulimics? Like, I had no idea who he was. I didn't know what a fire walk was. I was convinced fire walks helped eating disorders, didn't know the difference. And so she says, you have to go. And I'm on her table. She calls and she speaks to Chris Hendrickson, who later became a friend, like 30 years later. July was 30 years ago that was. It was July 1993. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I go in, and they had VIP. They didn't have the platinum partners and stuff that I ended up doing years later. They had VIP then. And I signed up for VIP. I was very successful. I was making 6 figures since I started working. And that was odd, because the reason I had to make 6 figures is my mom said 6 figures meant you arrived, you were successful. So
wow.
I had to make 6 figures. So 23 years old, running businesses, and I'm making high 6 figures because that's what you have to do. I kind of think mom should have told me 7 figures earlier, because then I would have got there a lot faster, but she didn't do that. And it turned out, went to the thing, and then I'm walking with Tony, Joseph, literally, we're walking to the fire walk, and I look up at Tony and I said, is this going to help my bulimia? And he looks at me, he doesn't even answer, he just smiles. And he's like, kind of keep walking. So we're walking. And I go through the fire walk. I sign up for his Home Master University. Fast forward that year, where I date with Destiny, and Tony calls on me when he's looking for someone who's suicidal. And I never raised my hand. never told anybody. Like this was all secrets, you know.
Mhm.
And so he calls on me. But what I didn't know is they read your questionnaires, and they flag you, and they know who's in the room. So even though I never raised my hand, I was called on. And I don't know if it was 4 or 6 hours later, he's working with me at this event. And then his trainers and other people start working with me. And I think that was where I fell in love with the whole community and leadership, that I became a trainer for Tony. I was a senior leader. I am a trainer for him now and
Yes.
have been for quite some time. And it turned out that you know, I got to know Tony, he got to know me. I actually made a decision back then that the people, like the trainers and all the other people helping as well, I said, I want to give back. You know, I felt
Yes.
like if I could make a difference to one person, that's like what they did for me. So my contribution and my need for it led to 30 years of me volunteering to support Tony, everything from crew, leadership, senior leader, trainer,
Yes.
anything, because I felt like the difference of being seen,
Yes.
just sometimes just people need to be seen,
Yes.
um, was huge.
And
And I
often,
got that gift.
and oftentimes when you're on the other side and you're able to help others too,
Yeah.
we're able to embrace those distinctions. I call it the word internalize, but by helping other people deal with those crises too as well, from that standpoint, it really shifts our identity, right? Like who we are as
Absolutely.
leaders, as people. And I mean, you've gone forward to build a whole brand, impact, thousands of people over the years with the work you do, not just in that community, but also with your brand and your stage and helping people really clarify their message. Message to Millions is one of your brands, correct? It's one of your brands, Jay?
Mastery to Millions
Mastery to
is one of my
Millions.
brands.
Yes.
So I started out with Fine to Fab. And I became a platinum partner with Tony. And Lauren Slocum
Yes.
turns around. We're in Egypt, and she gets me and corners me and says, "You're playing small." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. I don't play small." She says, "You're playing small." She says, "You're supposed to be helping women." I said, "Lauren, I teach people how to make money. That's what I've been doing like all my life, you know, teaching more marketing and sales and stuff like that." And she says, "No, no, no, you're supposed to be helping women." And she starts muscle testing me, and she says, "You're supposed to do both." And I'm like, "No." So fast forward a year later, I wake up and you've been to our home.
Yes.
Yardley is downstairs. I'm up on the next floor. I walk out of the bedroom and I said, "Handsome, I just had a dream." And I call Yardley Handsome. I go, "Handsome, I don't know what I'm going to do." I said, "I'm supposed to save lives. I don't know what that looks like, but I'm going to do that. I'm no longer going to do anything else." So now I think I had to pick him up off the floor, because at this point, I think I owned 3 businesses, and now I'm going to start a fourth one. And he's like, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to help women stop hurting themselves, because I need to do that, because there's too many women hurting themselves. And when people are sexually abused, it's like 1 in 4 women, and it's such a silent killer. People don't know about it. And I said, "I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to be the trusted guide who's gotten through this. And I've had 30 years of abstinence now from hurting myself, which is amazing. And other people can have that too." So I ended up writing this book, Fine to Fab, and Fine stands for how I used to feel. And that was effed up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional, fucked
Yes.
up really,
Wow.
to fabulous, awesome, beautiful. And,
Mm.
I wanted to help successful women stop hurting themselves. That's what this was about. And it's it says a successful woman's journey away from depression, disordered eating, and self-sabotage. And that became so big, Joseph. It put me on TV. I
I
got
remember.
a client
Yes.
that was a reality show star. And because of her, it got me on CBS, ABC. She was on a Latino show. So I ended up getting on the reality show with her. And then I'm on Fox and NBC, everywhere. I spent years traveling all over the United States, getting on TV for Fine to Fab. And what was fascinating about it is I kind of put the whole other helping people build business on a shelf for several years. And when I was helping my women with Fine to Fab, they kept saying, "Lisa, how is it that every business you've ever did, you built to 7 figures?" or six figures the first year and built it to seven. And I thought about it. And they said, teach us. I go, I don't want to teach you. I said, they go, tell me who you learned from. And just like you said, I've invested so much money in me.
Yes.
And I've been, anyone Tony ever mentioned in the footnote of his books, I went to learn personally. He talked about Donald Miller, I went to Donald Miller. He talked about Frank Kern, I went to Frank Kern. He talked about Alison Armstrong, I met Alison. Like anyone he mentioned, I'm there. I'm going to learn from the source. Dr. Bandler,
Yes.
Grinder, Dills for NLP. I became
Yes.
a trainer for NLP,
Wow.
I was like, I'm going to learn it all. So I said, I'll give you a list. They go, Lisa, I don't have millions to pay for everybody. Just teach me. And that's how NAP came about,
Yes.
which is neuro-associative programming. Because I realized through studying Carl Jung, whether you think of Milton Erickson and all these other people and Virginia Satir, Dr. Virginia Satir, and there's commonalities, there's bridges we can build and understand why people do what they do. And what I learned, Joseph, is in all my studying, the reason we had such success in business and sales is because I understood people. It's really
That's
about
vital.
understanding people,
It's
because no
vital.
matter what you do in business, you're still dealing with people,
Yes.
right? That's the
Yes.
common denominator.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So what
absolutely.
happens most of the time is people think they're, business people will think they're selling to everyone, and you're not. You're selling to a specific person, an avatar, a specific kind of person. And when you understand what their bandwidth is, their beliefs, their emotions, what they need, want, and
Yes.
desire, and you learn to speak to them in the way that they need to hear you, and they see that you can help, you don't have to work anymore. You never have competition again. You can make millions, literally
Yes.
millions. And what I find is most people don't have that skill set just because they weren't taught it. Like I went to school for marketing, advertising, and building business, and they didn't teach me half the stuff I teach my clients today and that I know. And I think it's because teachers were teaching me versus business
Yes.
people teaching me.
A lot of people doing sales are kind of robots, right? They learn a system, maybe the Sandler system or another system, and the depth of relationships, really getting to know the person, putting them in front, right? So coming out of
Right.
place for service isn't often there initially, right? And then you go through life experiences and maybe go to a Tony Robbins seminar where you had an intervention, perhaps, where you got to wake up and realize that we're human beings here, right? And to
Yeah.
really connect deeply, it does take really getting to understand the other person on the other end of the camera or on the phone. And of course,
Mm-hmm.
virtual world now with COVID and post-COVID now, everything's virtually this way now. Um, what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned like on that journey, kind of figuring this out, especially as the world's evolved? So you are a technologist, like I see you as a technologist as well. You background from MCI, building those seven-figure companies to coaching now high net worth entrepreneurs, women. What are some of the lessons you've learned on that journey, kind of figuring that out for yourself?
Well, I think the lessons is a plethora of lessons here, from personal lessons of understanding that, I'm enough, that I can do anything I set my mind to, that as long as I have two hands, two eyes, two ears, a brain, I'll never have to worry about anything. I can get myself out of anything. I think the biggest thing people need to have is confidence in themselves.
Mm.
I think that's really important. And that's not ego, that's belief. It's belief that, you put all this great stuff in you, that you have what it takes. You can do it. You can be great, and you are great. I think that's the biggest one. The second is that, and stop making it about you. That's going to sound counterintuitive, but stop making it about you and make it about other people. Our success in all of our businesses that we have, and now we only have three, and we had five at one time, but I kind of downscaled them or merged them. And with them, we have only 10 employees, but we do seven figures. And most people wouldn't understand that, but we understand what we're doing, who we're serving, and how we need to serve them. And I think if you stop making it about you and you make it about helping people, business becomes easy. And if you're going out trying to build a business and you're making it about money, you'll never be rich. If you make it about helping people and help them get what they want, you'll be rich beyond words. And I think that little 2 millimeter shift of understanding, we talked about reframing and other things already, it's reframing it. It's not how much money do I want to make, it's how many people do I want to serve, and what's the
Yes.
biggest impact I can make? What is it they need? And as we get the clarity of that, everything changes, because now the messaging is really about service and not about you. And when you make
Absolutely.
it too much about you, you're gonna find it's not profitable.
We had Bob Berg in our podcast months ago, and he wrote the book The Go Giver. It's all about how do you impact the greatest number of people and make that part of your mission in life. And greatness will come your way simply by impacting more people, finding ways to really engage that way, to tithe perhaps another way might be looking into it, or karmic management. Another book talks about that topic too as well. And you found a way to effectively do that, really impact a lot of people with like everything you're doing, right? And certainly having a book is great. Your first book, Find a Fab. What about your current book? So I know you've written a current book recently, and you've also embraced a lot of AI. You teach AI too in your trainings. Let's talk about that.
Sure. So I want to say my mission is to touch more lives than Oprah by helping people who help others. That's my mission. And I use it as a litmus test whenever I want to make a decision to do something or go outside into another lane. I'm saying, is this serving my mission? If it is, yay. If not, no. And that's been a big thing. And I ended up coming out with this book, How to Build a Seven-Figure Coaching Business, with the bonus of using AI. And I created it and this is the coolest part. I created it from my signature talk, because I teach people how to do talks that sell. And I
Yes.
have some very, very well-known names that I've worked with, like Todd Hartley and Jeremy Newsom, and people that seven figures, like we've done 6 figure, 7-figure talks, crazy.
My
And
friend Vina Keller was there also with what she was
Vinu
doing.
Keller is another one. I'm like,
Complete shift from where she was before to going through a training to really tapping into a world of abundance now, like being
oh,
on her mission.
without a doubt. She is one of my greatest success stories as well. She's, here's someone who's been serving communities for parents and having, like the parent whisperer. And now she was at the point where, and she said this, so I'm not breaking anonymity, just never made 6 figures. And then I think it was within 6 weeks made 70,000, within 9 months 250,000, within the year $420,000 our first year together. And then she continued. It was like, this is something people don't think they can do, but you can. It's just, you need to understand your messaging and who you're serving, and again,
Yes.
know how to help people. And I ended up writing this book when AI came out. I was fascinated, because I had spent tens of thousands of dollars on content writers and SEO and all this other stuff for my clients and myself. And I saw what it was, and I said, I'm going to learn this. I'm going to become masterful, just like everything else. So Mastery to Millions was how I went from zero to hero. It's how I went from 0 to 6 figures in a year. And I created the system that it wasn't just me doing it, Joseph, but not all, I'd say 95% of my clients were replicating what I was doing. It's like, that's amazing. This is working. This is awesome. And then, it's like, well, it's time for another book. I haven't done a book for how many years? We got to do this. So I wrote this book just last year, and you can just go to howtobuildasevenfigurecoachingbusiness.com. You can get it for free, literally free. I give you the
Yes.
PDF for
And
free.
I did it earlier today. It's quick. You get texted it. You also get the PDF, or you can actually have it mailed to you.
Just cover the shipping.
Yes.
So I write the book, and it turns out that because of the book, I do over $500,000 in sales. I'm like, what? This is amazing. So then I decide, let me just do another launch, do another $500,000. I'm like, this is too easy. Why is not everybody doing this? Like, everybody should be knowing what I'm telling you. And then I went into the book and I updated it again with all the technology and the stuff that was available, because I put 1,500 hours in 1 year, another full-time job, into learning it. And right now I'm in the middle of a certification program, and actually 3 to be exact, for AI and social
AI.
media.
Yes.
Yeah, to really, and from some of the greatest mentors out there, from NAS Academy to Brandon Kane from Hook Point, to Vishan from Mind Valley, to like this is a high-end course I'm going through. I feel like I'm back in college and loving every bit of it sometimes. It's a lot of work. And I honestly, I do it because I know it's going to make my clients' lives easier. And I think that's the thing where you said, what did I learn? I don't do for me anymore. I'm doing for me, but at the same time, I'm doing to fulfill the mission of helping you get your message out there, be the best version of yourself, be able to
Yes.
serve more people. And I think that if I help you and then you help others, like you do with Success Circles, helping other people meet their expectations and their goals, then we all succeed. And that's what we really have to be doing. And it becomes amazing for
Yes.
us all to be
You
able to
just
win.
you just cover that too. Like our mission is making people better, right? The work I do,
Yeah.
success circles, make the day better, make the other person better. And I think you've covered this already, your trajectory, parents, the things they taught you, and then one of the challenges, how you frame that, then going to work with Tony Robbins, working with many mentors over the years. What causes you to keep innovating, right? You're masterful every age you've been, like every like you're masterful at finding the right mentors to become better. Like, and what's causing you now? And I think you just said it now, just now, because you're actively finding ways to impact clients, help them. So that's causing you. That's what I heard. That's causing you to keep innovating yourself. Is there anything else you would add to that?
Well, I think what it is I actually tried out what retirement looked like, Joseph. and I went when I wrote the book, I had another goal. I changed my goals. So I'm very goal oriented. And I said, okay, if I was able to make 7 figures working full time, I want to see if I can make 7 figures working part time. So I create these crazy goals for myself. I put it out there. I never worry about why or how. I just say, this is what I want to do. Yardley always thinks I don't even know what he thinks. He just knows if I say it, it's going to happen. So I just do it. So I turned around the other day and I said, you know what? I'm going to go part-time, go to semi-retirement, and I'm going to build a 7-figure business. And I did. And I said, 3 days a week. I said, handsome, I'm going to work 2 days a week now, and I'm going to make 7 figures. I'm going to help even more people. I don't know where I'm thinking I'm going to do it. And what happened is the 2 days a week is friggin' boring. I don't know what to do with myself for all the other days. So other than play pickleball,
Right.
and which I love, and we're building a new home, which is fabulous. All the extra time I need to be filling with something. I'm not a couch potato. I can't just watch TV. I subscribe to Headway. I listen to 4 books a day on speed, like the 15-minute versions of books. And I don't even listen at 1 time the speed. I listen at 1.5 to 2 times the speed so I can get through them even faster. So I can get through 4 books in a half hour. So
Incredible.
I'm always wanting to learn and grow. And I think about what I'm learning and I'm saying, who can I help with this? Or say you and I are talking and you have a challenge and maybe I don't have the answer. I'm like, I'll find the answer. I had a great professor in college. He said, when we said to him, what's the curriculum? What books should we get? He goes, you see over there on the other side of the campus? We go, yeah. He goes, there's a library. I said, yes. And I was
Love it.
like, well, which book? All of them. And I'm like, oh my goodness, there's a plethora of opportunity here. We can get anything we need.
Love that.
So I learned that if you don't know, you just get it. You just get it. So
Yes.
I'm always intrigued when I'm learning new things. It's become one of
Yes.
my top needs is growth. And I
Yes.
want to continue to grow all the time. And then I love teaching and helping. So it's serving all my needs.
I love that. I love it, Lisa. Lisa, you mentioned that you listen to like four headspace or
Headway.
headway books per day. Okay. What are the practices you embrace each day to keep you like on track to making progress, rituals, habits? What are some things you embrace for our audience to hear? I'm a big believer in routine, rituals, structure creates freedom. We believe in success circles. What are
Yeah.
some other things you do each day?
Well, I actually have a ritual with I am. And, in the past, if I would have said I am an AH, I would not feel very good about myself. But if I said I'm fabulous, awesome, beautiful, I'm amazing, and if I said that every single day, how would I start feeling? Amazing. So I do. I've been saying that to myself for decades.
Me
I've
too.
created these
Love
I
that.
ams, and I have 50 every day. And then I got bored. I go, I need more than these. So I'd start using the alphabet and be creative every day and think of all the great things I am. Would start with A, ambitious. I could think of another ones, B, bold, and then use it even for walking. So doing I ams is huge. The
Yes.
second one is gratitude. Every day, and I've been doing this, I'm like, probably for 30 years, is every day I say what I'm grateful for. And before I go to sleep, I do 3. I always think of three different things. I can't use what I used yesterday or the day before. I'm always looking for three different things I'm
And do you,
grateful
do
for.
you, do you visualize those things? Do you like do you sit with those things as you sleep, or just is it more like a quick process?
Well, I guess I sit to think about it. Like I take the time to ponder and to say, what am I grateful for today? And it could be, of course, it's my husband. It could be, the roof over my head. It could be that simple. It could be grateful that I took the time to just see a sunset. But I look for something every day that I'm grateful for. And I think that that's been a great practice because I think it's easy to see what we don't have, but it takes more effort to see what we do. Our brain naturally goes to what's wrong, but it needs to be conditioned to go to what's right. And that has everything to do with our primary question. My old question used to be, what's wrong with me? And all I ever saw in my life was everything that was wrong with me that made me not enough. And when I changed it years and years ago, I changed it to how can I appreciate God's gifts for myself and others even more. That was so long. And I did that for almost 20 years. And then I changed it 10 years ago to what's good about this. And it was so easy, Joseph. It was perfect. So no matter what happens in my life, if I'm stuck in traffic, it's like, what's good about this? Well, I get to call a friend. Maybe I didn't get hit in that accident, that I was delayed, or something else is waiting for me. And you mentioned before the COVID and what happened. And, I think all the stuff I've done prepared me. Yardley got COVID, double pneumonia, heart attack, a cytokine storm, the widowmaker. Like he almost died 3 times in the hospital, and they didn't have a cath lab. He was in ICU on 100% oxygen for over a month, and in the hospitals for months. And we thought we were going to lose him.
Remember
And
that? Yeah.
people want to see what's important in life.
Yes.
And a lot of people get caught up on bullshit, quite honestly. And if they realize at the end of the day, what's important is you and me and the people around us and the people we love. And what's important is people.
Yes.
And all the material things, all the other things you have, it's nice,
Yes.
but it means nothing if you don't have the people you love. So I think my rituals are more about daily appreciation, living in gratitude, um, just
Yeah.
knowing we're blessed
That's
and
that's really
and living there.
it's really extraordinary. It's really embracing those lessons. And I was
Yeah,
there during that time too, as we're dealing with that, coming to
yeah,
the other side. And it's getting that perspective is very valuable. And so many out there, if you ever just search online, what are the regrets people have on their deathbed? And you'll find 90% of those regrets tend to be about relationships, not saying I love you. Um,
yeah.
like how could I spend more time, quality time with my loved ones, all of that. And it's very valuable to really tap into those lessons early in life and go through life that way. And of course, you had those skills you had over the years around making money, and you developed that early. So I mean, just a wealth of brilliance you have all around, and from all of that, there's value, as you mentioned, in reframing life, reframing experiences, having a great primary question to really tap into what's great about this, right? Whatever
Yeah.
situation you have in life, really living in the now. So Lisa, this has been absolutely incredible. How can people find out more about you? What's the website again for the book you have? And I know your main website is lieberman-wang.com, which is right behind you on the
Yes.
wall.
And you can just go to the name of the book of How to Build a Seven-Figure Coaching Business.com and get this book for free. Enjoy it, download it. If you want the hard copy, you can get that too. I also have a special offer after if you want to learn how to sell anything anywhere to anyone. It's absolutely incredible. We've had people come out of zero to hero to millions of dollars a year implementing. And here's the thing, implementing what I'm teaching. And this is all about marketing and sales, and you can have that opportunity too. So I look forward. And if you'd like, Joseph, I'm going to do this because I know you have a wide audience, so I'm going to limit it. If you want to apply for a free discovery call with me to see if and how I can help you and build your business, just go to callwithlisa.com, fill out the application. I'll look forward to talking to you.
Incredible. Lots of value. Lisa, Lisa, I've invested quite a bit over the years, but nothing close to what Lisa's invested millions into her journey. And to be able to tap into that brilliance either through a session with her or through her books is priceless. Um, it just blows my mind away to be able to being able to make decisions quicker, faster, by tapping into the wisdom of people out there. And that's what we're doing here by having these conversations and working with our mentors, Tony Robbins and many others out there, making it happen. This has been extraordinary for our audience out there. Tap into this podcast episode at rulesforsuccess.com. I'm an engineer, so my team, what we've done is taken all of this, we've created like a mind map, kind of taking all the concepts and lessons that Lisa's taught us here today into a giant mind maps. Access at there, rulesforsuccess.com, including a partial transcript of this as well. And Lisa, I appreciate you. I appreciate you being my mentor on this journey where I am at right now. I have a lot of success in my life being people around you, especially these past 10 years. And, you know, it's all about really making an impact. You and I are on the same mission, really adding value to people. And these conversations do change lives, do save lives. And I know you do that with everything you do these days, you and Yarly. So I appreciate you. Have an amazing day, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.